Well, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mhm. Good seeing everyone, or at least hearing everyone. We're just going to wait another minute or two. We have a full meeting today. I'm excited about today's meeting. Just worried, so just excited about today. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to turn the mic over to you guys, and we want to hear from you as well. But I think this topic is very timely. So, for those who do not know me, my name is Oswaldo Mestre, and I am the Director of Citizen Services for the City of Buffalo. And I just have the fortune of welcoming you to our block chat. And this is a program that we do. We co-host one of our partners, our sponsors, or our friends over at the Board of Block Clubs. We have been doing this. We're excited about the partnerships that we have with them. But initially, we started this in when the world, not just the city, was under a pandemic, and we wanted to make sure that we were attentive and we were listening to people, but we wanted to make sure that the things that were going on in the communities were being shared, and this provided a forum for residents, faith-based leaders, community leaders, block club leaders, just to talk about the happenings of what's going on in the community and be able to share that. And so we continued it. We did different iterations of it. We've had speakers from dealing with health to safety to you know cultural type of topics, how-to type of things, and then many of you have asked for different speakers from the city and also from the county to come and talk about a little bit about what they do, and so really about this kind of equipping and empowering community members, block club members, about what's going on in the community. And so very excited about that with everybody. So you've already started. If you haven't, throw your name, say hi, let us know what you're doing, who you are, put that in the chat. That helps because then when people are speaking and communicating, we kind of know where folks are coming from. We don't want to make the assumption that everybody knows each other, but after today, I think we're going to know each other just a little more. So, like I said, I see some good friends, I see some old friends that I haven't heard and seen from before, but it's just great. Again, just throw your name and what you do, where you're from, in the chat, and that'd be great. So, we're going to get started this week. A lot of things going on this week. And again, just excited about the speaker and the topic. Dana Estrada, that you'll be hearing from more. It's a great partner that we have, attend to Clean Sweep. But she'll talk a little bit about the role that she has played within the city of Buffalo and a myriad of different things, but more specifically about the occurrences that are happening here. Um, I don't want to steal my friend's thunder, but I will say congratulations. Yesterday, I attended the Board of Block Clubs meeting, and they had an election. But that's all I'm going to say because I know Debbie, who is the president, is going to want to speak a little more about that. But just a couple of things here. You know, let's go to not necessarily the first thing that's more important, but unfortunately, we are going to be dealing with football without the Bills this weekend, But listen, um, the great thing here is that football is a game, but the life of football, the individuals like Delmar and those, and what we are still living. So that's a good thing, right? So we're going to still cheer on, there's always next year, and we're going to do that. Um, the mayor last week was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, testifying with other mayors about gun violence and the proliferation of guns that are in these communities, and met with different congressional leaders to talk more specifically about what can cities do, what can mayors do, what can we do to lobby Congress for stricter gun laws. And so he was received very successfully. And so that's something to kind of talk about. Bulk trash, very important. Although we're still dealing with the challenges that we are with the weather, starting with that schedule too. That's an important thing. And so make sure that you look on the city's webpage and we'll provide that information as well. And um, just the just the other different things too. We are still going to lift up those families that were affected by the most recent snow blizzard that we had. 42 individuals in Western New York. And so, just as we have been lifting up the families that were affected by the coronavirus, we still want to continue to lift those families up and making sure that we continue to keep them in our prayers. And that's important. But one of the reasons, oh, I'm sorry, 47. There was one reported yesterday, 47. You know, so but one of the things that we want to be able to do internally, city departments have been meeting internally, but we've also been meeting collaboratively. We are going to have the school out of New York, who's going to be coming in and doing a thorough evaluation of our processes. We've been kind of meeting internally, been meeting with my staff in ways that um, learning a little more about what our processes are and what we can do to improve. As I spoke at the Board of Block Clubs meeting yesterday, as much as we can be individually prepared and collectively prepared, understanding about, and I said this, I call it an event, not to minimize the impact of it, but the event, because an event has kind of a beginning, a during, and an after. And so all of these things were happening all at one point in time, and so we want to be able to move forward and where we can do. And as us as operating the call center, um, one of the things, the significant investment that we made in the call center is that um, we're one of the few city call centers that we have our operators that can work remotely. If we did not have that, I don't know if we would have been able to answer calls and call people back and follow back up with individuals. And so many of our call takers worked on holidays in the evenings, overnight, a couple of different things. So, and also returning calls too. So it was a total team effort. But again, how do we link that with other departments and following up? But then there's also what do we do in terms of after the event kind of subsides and we have to see about individuals, especially those individuals that are in some communities that are a bit underserved or that what can we do to help those individuals. And so as you can see with the snow event that's happening right now, there's been a concerted effort to make sure that information is going out sooner, or there's information that's timely that people may get, not this necessarily on the media, on TV, but trying to push this out through social media to let people know about what to do. And then today we're going to learn when there is a challenge. And I spoke about this. I was without power for 3 days. One day I was like, Rob, 2 days. I was like, uh-oh, 3 days. And it was, and that was challenging for me, and I couldn't imagine how it was for others, individuals, too. So we're going to learn that today. So I'm going to turn this over, and Nicole's going to give a few announcements, and then we're going to introduce our speaker, and then we're going to kind of cut short a little bit, and I want to listen and hear from you about some best practices, about some thoughts that you may have. I have staff here that's going to be diligently writing things down. We're going to talk about ways that we can partner. I want to kind of lift up the Anchor Group. Been working with Jessica Bauer, and so been meeting with them And there's been having some great meetings in terms of just other organizations that are out there doing a lot of different things. But we're finding out some of it is disparate. We're this Monica City Good Neighbors. Everybody just wants to pitch in and help. And so we just want to be able to coordinate, not just amongst agencies, but also what's going on in the community as well, too. So the great thing here is with that anchor group, myself, and I know there's a representative from the county, and then there's I think 4, 5, 6 anchor group organizations, and then there's a myriad of other organizations that are involved too. I know the Board of Block Clubs are co-partners, or I mean, are involved with that as well too. So a lot of great things that are happening. We just have to kind of make sure that everyone is aware of it and have the direct impact that we need to have. So Nicole, I know you have some quick announcements, and then we're going to go to our speaker.
All right, thank you. Yes, I'm going to try to breeze through them. All right. So, quick update on some of our initiatives. We're still actively recruiting for AmeriCorps Vistas. Our Love Your Black grant notifications will be emailed either before the end of the month or early beginning of next month. Clean sweeps will be starting up again in the spring. We will be reaching out to the potential partners. And as Oswaldo mentioned, 311 will be evolving due to our RFP requests going out. So look out for our revamped 311. And if you want to be involved in our initiatives, please contact us at the number listed on screen. We'll drop it in the chat box, and we will direct you to the appropriate individual. As always, a reminder, Mayor Brian Brown's talk show, The Talk of the Town, happens every Sunday at 1 p.m. You can catch this on WUFO, Power 96.5, and on his Facebook page as well. The bulk trash schedule has been released. So the first district they're starting with is Ellicott District. Just a reminder to put your bulk trash out on the Sunday listed for your district. And there are some guidelines limited for the bulk trash, as well as please follow the parking regulations during your bulk trash week. In terms of CPR, learn CPR and save a life. So there's a free Earn While You Learn Red Cross certified lifeguard training session. It includes your CPR classes that teach you how to provide care. And the February certification happens Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, during the week 220 to 224 at Cazenovia Pool. And then overall, there are some specific eligibility requirements listed on the other flyer. So already swimming proficiency, 16 or older, and other preferences. And you can find out more about this through the PAL website. We are still holding our baby clothing drive for our MLK Junior Day of Service up through Friday, February 3rd. You can still drop off clothes at the lobby of City Hall or at any of the police districts and the community centers noted here on the flyer. And we are just asking for different baby items, clothes, diapers, wipes, formula, etc. And these can be distributed to partnering organizations, including our Mommy Village, Priscilla Project, Every Bottom Covered, and Buffalo Prenatal and Perinatal Network. So we also have the Dip Fest at the Broadway Market. This is free admission, Saturday, February 4th from 11 to 4. Various vendors will be there, and all dips will be priced between $2 to $4. So looks like something fun happening there. And we just wanted to give a congratulations as well to the Board of Block Clubs, the newly elected board. So I'm sure Ms. Debbie is going to talk a little bit more about this, but and introduce everybody who's been elected. But as Oz mentioned, this happened last night, so we just wanted to give you guys a shout out and say congratulations. If you are looking to start a block club, you can contact the Buffalo and Erie County Board of Block Clubs. You can email them, call them, or you can reach out to them on Facebook and Instagram. And I know that this information, you can find it in the chat box as well. There's also a spaghetti fundraiser happening next Saturday as well, 12 to 4. It's a pickup or dine-in location. There are pre-orders, and the donations go towards the healing work of the Healing Hub, which aims to help people heal in a safe space with trauma. You can scan the QR code or go online and participate. As well as there's a cohort available January through June, and this is tuition-free remote CDL permit test prep. And for more information, and to register, you can contact the Buffalo Educational Opportunity Center. There's a CPR awareness free event as well, and this talks about the sudden cardiac arrest and how the CPR can save lives, signs and symptoms of the heart attack, chain of survival, and CPR skills. This is also on February 4th, and this is at the Meriwether Library, and you can register online. Erie County Niagara AHEC presents the Opioid Education Series all spring. So this is a virtual series happening once a month with different topics and a keynote address about fentanyl happening in April. There is a certificate of completion available upon request for attending all of the different sessions, and you can register by scanning the QR code or visiting ErieNiagaraAHEC.org and going to the events. And as always, we talked about this last blog chat. We do have winter preparedness and car winter preparedness checklists available now. We will be passing these out, but we are going to hear about this from our wonderful speaker today. So I do not want to talk more about this until she gives her full presentation and tells us what is really important and notable in terms of winter preparedness. And so with that, Oswaldo, I'm going to turn it back over to you to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for all of those and those who are on this chat. If we have your email, we will send you or email that out, all of those informational items so that you are aware of it. We do plan on having a block chat regarding CPR, and we're just trying to locate or trying to, whether it be the American Red Cross or somebody, that we can do one or two or a few of those classes in the communities once we identify libraries or places that we can do that too. We want to be able to do that. Shout out to Back to Basics and National Grid. I attended something yesterday. Hundreds of people were there where they gave out boxes of food, but there was this information, people who needed information regarding if they were behind or what the different utilities, and then there were different agencies. It was kind of like a winter clean sweep when I went there. I was like, whoa, why is everybody here? So it was kind of neat to have that, so we're going to endeavor to do that more. And the last thing is, we mentioned about 311. We do have a community. We have procured some dollars. We are revamping or just upgrading our 311 system. We have a very good system, but just like with technology, I don't know how many people have TVs that are past 10 years or 12 years. Our system is at that point, but it actually works very well. But we just want to see what's best of class. We put an RFP out there. We got several people who bidded on that. And so we have a committee. Debbie's on that committee. We also have another community member, but we are going to have a meeting. She's been giving us input. I've been meeting with block clubs. Let us know, hey, I like this. Maybe we can do this better. This city has done this. Let us know. Let me know directly. Because we have this great opportunity to see what's out there and to bring that here, so I'm excited about that. Dana is a friend and somebody who is very familiar with the goings on with this community. She attends all of our clean sweeps. She's one of our star partners. But she also does various workshops within the city of Buffalo on disaster preparedness, relationships with not just law enforcement, but just ways that we can fortify ourselves when challenges happen. And so this is within one of the menu of different things that she's going to be able to do. She reached out to us, or we tried to reach out to us, or Board of Block Clubs reached out. But the great thing about it is we knew about each other. And so I'm excited. I'm going to have Dana Estrada come in. She is working a grant that is through the Niagara University. She is the director or the coordinator for the city of Buffalo regarding Board of Community Services. And so I'll let her talk a little bit more about what she does. But Dana, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you. Most people have met me before, or at least I was on fairly recently doing the active shooter awareness training on this forum before. So I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay. I do present on emergency preparedness throughout the city. I do work for Niagara University, although I'm not on campus. I am at I'm sorry, hold on a second. I'm at the Buffalo Police Department. They are gracious enough to give me a space there. Do you see my screen yet?
It's getting there.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. So since 2008 is when I've started working in the city doing basic emergency preparedness training for adults, for children. In 2016, I started doing active shooter awareness program. So there we go. Okay. And then I will pull up my presentation. So obviously free in the city of Buffalo. Tell me when you can see it.
We
You don't
got
mind?
it. Got it.
Okay, perfect. So absolutely free in the city of Buffalo. Winter preparedness has always been something that I've talked about, but here's the thing: we think that we know we're Buffalo tough, and if you want to have that proved, look at people shoveling their driveway in their shorts, right? But weather has certainly changed in the last several years. It is more ferocious. It changes much quicker than it ever has. Growing up in Buffalo, right? You could depend on, and I'm, over 46 years old, you could depend on snow from December, maybe the end of November, all the way through April. And now it's much different, right? We get these huge storms. They've happened in October, November. It will then melt a couple days later, and then we're on that cycle. High winds were something that we never really dealt with growing up, and now it happens frequently. So just a reminder for everyone, and a lot of this is stuff that you already know, and reminded every time you turn on the TV or read the newspaper, but just some additional information on how we can best protect ourselves. So preparing makes sense. Winter preparedness tips. Well, why should you prepare? Emergencies and disasters often happen quickly with little or no warning. Winter storms, we can get some warning, but forecasted meteorologists at the National Weather Service are amazing. But weather changes. And so we have to understand that, and we have to be prepared starting in November or October for winter preparedness. Local officials and rescue workers will respond, but they may not reach everyone right away, just like snowplows, right? It takes time to clear the city. And any other area. There's only so many snowplows for a lot of streets. And the more you have prepared before the emergency, the calmer and more capable you and your family will be during the emergency. So you don't have to worry about it when it actually happens. You will be prepared. So winter weather. Winter storms can last, a lot of us know this, right? Winter storms can last several hours or several days. They can bring extreme cold, freezing rain, snow, ice, high winds. They create risk, including a higher risk of car accidents. We know that. We tend to forget how to drive, right? The first snow, it takes us a little bit to get our footing. Hypothermia, frostbite, carbon monoxide poisoning, that's a big one. And heart attacks from overexertion as far as shoveling. They can cut off heat, power, and communication services. So if we think back to the October storm, some of us lost power for a significant amount of time, but it was warmer, right? It was October. So it warmed up fairly quickly. And then we think back to November. The game changer for November was nobody lost power. And then they put older adults, children, and sick individuals at a greater risk. We're all at risk when we have severe winter weather, but those people are often, have a harder time. So types of weather advisories, we all hear about these every time we turn on the news. And what is the difference? So if you hear a winter storm warning, that is the most severe that we can have. They're issued when hazardous winter weather in the form of heavy snow, heavy freezing rain, or heavy sleet is imminent or occurring. A winter storm watch means it alerts to the possibility of those things. When we have a winter storm warning, they happen, or that we get a warning maybe 12 to 18 hours before the event, maybe a little bit longer. And then a watch can start off as a watch and then move to a warning when it becomes more imminent. And then a winter weather advisory issued for accumulations of snow, freezing rain, freezing drizzle, and sleet, which will cause significant inconvenience. And if caution is not exercised, could lead to life-threatening situations. But an advisory is a little bit lower than a warning or a watch, right? So additional warnings, blizzard. So what's the difference between we call, they're calling for a blizzard as opposed to a storm? What does that look like? A blizzard is issued for frequent gusts greater than 35 miles per hour, accompanied by falling and or blowing snow. Frequent reduced visibility to less than a quarter of a mile for 3 or more hours. Now, if you think about it, there are times that you couldn't see across the street during our last event. Or people driving and then suddenly can't see anything ahead of them. An ice storm issued for ice accumulation of around a quarter inch or more, power lines and tree branch hazards. Okay, so that's when we get ice storms, that's when we typically lose power to some people in our region. And then tree branches could come down. That's also a hazard. Even taking a walk in the woods, tree branches coming down is a big hazard, or could knock down power lines. Wind chill issued for a combination of very cold air and strong winds that create dangerously low wind chill values, increased risk for frostbite and hypothermia. And I always say this: if your school district is closed because there's a wind chill advisory, or if we have one of these other things, your children shouldn't be outside playing either. So we have that conversation in our house a lot, right? If school is closed because the weather is too severe for school, then that's the day that you're staying inside. And a lake effect snow. We all know lake effect snow. So issued when widespread or localized lake-induced snow squalls or heavy showers are expected to produce significant snowfall accumulation, often develops in narrow bands and impacts limited area. Our weather is unusual for other parts of the country because we sit on that lake. And so we know that Hamburg or South Buffalo could get hit really badly. And then, in an hour it moves north, and then we have North Buffalo and Amherst impacted. It's very unusual. It's something that we all sort of take for granted, lake effect snow. We of course can get lake effect rain as well, and we are sort of freed from that when the lake freezes. So warning, watch, advisory, you're going to pay attention to any guidance issued. All weather that you hear on the radio or on the TV is issued by the National Weather Service. So they work with the meteorologists from TV, but the guidance that's coming out is the same for Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7. It's how it's interpreted by those meteorologists that are working at the station. But you can also go to the National Weather Service site for Buffalo. Travel advisory, motorists are advised to avoid travel unless absolutely necessary. And a travel ban means stay home. Only emergency or essential personnel are allowed to travel. So there are 4 keys to personal preparedness: get a kit, make a plan, be informed, and get involved. I have brochures that speak to all of those general preparedness. If you're interested, just give me a call. My number will come up at the end of the presentation, and I will make sure that you get that information. Get a kit. So you're going to pre-assemble items for your family that your family may need for emergencies or disasters. You can use a plastic tote, a cardboard box, a bag, any place you can put all of your items in that you may need during a weather event, emergency, or disaster. So we should be preparing for anything, not just winter weather, but any other sort of disaster or emergency that can come to us. at the minimum, bare minimum, prepare for 1 week. Okay, the guidance used to be 3 days. We know that's woefully inadequate. Okay, we've all been stuck in our house for more than 3 days at a time. So you're going to prepare for at least 1 week. That means you not being able to leave your house and no one being able to come in to help you, besides your neighbors, maybe. And don't forget about preparedness at work, at school, or any place that you spend time. So you should also, if you're working in an office, you should also make sure that you have supplies at your work, at your station, that you may need if you are stuck there. Okay, you can't get out for 24 hours, 48 hours. You want to make sure that you have some clothes, some extra food, extra water, anything that you may need at your desk. And school too. We should talk about school preparedness. Colleges, universities, that's fine, but make sure that your kids have some stuff packed in their backpack too for a bus ride that may take a little longer than we have anticipated. Well, there are things that will make you more comfortable. You're going to first think about the lifesavers. These are things critical to life. So water, having extra water in your house, non-perishable food, and clean air. We'll talk about all of these as we go forward. Other supplies for an emergency kit. First of all, when we talk about food, don't keep food in your normal pantry, okay? Your emergency food should be set aside, because if we're going to put our granola bars, an extra jar of peanut butter, or things that are shelf stable, we don't want to put it in our normal pantry, because if we do that, somebody's going to utilize it. And then when we have an emergency, we don't have that extra stockpile. Now, you don't have to go out and get it all at one time. But what we're going to do is buy 1 or 2 items every time we go to the grocery store, and we're going to have a really great kit, okay? An extra food. And water. Have water. It can be filled from your tap, and that's fine. Just make sure it's a clean container. Never milk, never juice containers, okay? The bacteria will never leave as much as you try to clean them. They won't leave. 2-liter bottles are okay if you clean them with water. They suggest sanitizing them with a drop of bleach, or you can just buy sealed water, okay? Other supplies are flashlights with extra batteries or lanterns, okay? You want to make sure that you have a light source, radio with extra batteries. We all get our information from cell phones, but cell phones die if we cannot charge them. So we want to make sure that we have that old radio that you thought you'd never use ready with extra batteries, so you can get information from the city, from whoever, Erie County, whatever, okay? You want to make sure that you're getting information in. Matches. Now, that's sort of a tough one, right? Because we don't want people, to have total, like, using candles in every room, right? We have to be responsible with the matches, but you may need matches. It's a smart thing to have. Blankets. Fluffy ones are great, okay? But after the end of this, I'll show you a disaster survival wrap. They are inexpensive. I give them away when I do presentations, and they look like giant pieces of foil. They're silver blankets that trap in body heat and keep you warm. Everyone should have those for your house and for your car. And if you are looking for them out at stores, it would be in camping supply section. Okay, lots of hikers use them in case they get stranded in the woods. And if they don't, they should. First aid kits. And then, with COVID, we realized how important it was to have that extra medicine in our house. I'm not talking stockpiling. We had some medicine shortages for children. Try not to stockpile, but you want to make sure that your emergency kit, your first aid kit, has good medicine that you may need if you cannot leave your house. Non-electric can opener, filter masks. But we've been saying that since I started 2008. Important family documents. Everybody has important family documents. Your passport, your license, your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, your insurance information. Make sure you have those in a very safe place, ideally in a fire safe if you can't have a fire safe, and they're not easy to move. So we want copies at least in your emergency kit. If you need to leave quickly, and that's what an emergency kit is for, if you need to leave quickly too, you can grab it and go. So you're going to make photocopies of those. My husband works in IT. He has a jump drive with our important information. I have copies. it's a little redundant, but he feels better one way, I feel better another way, and that's fine. Money. Have some cash in your house. I'm not saying it has to be a ton of money, but some. If you need to leave quickly, power outages, we had them in 2001, I believe, brownouts all over the East Coast. There were no ATMs to speak of that you could get money out, or it was, sketchy if you could get money out. So you want to always have money. If you need to leave quickly, we're not going to worry about stopping at a bank or an ATM. And a list of important phone numbers. We all have important phone numbers. They are stuck on our cell phones. If your cell phone dies and you can't utilize your cell phone, you want to make sure that you can access those phone numbers. So write them down. Spend 20 minutes going through your phone and writing down all of those important numbers that you may need. Okay. Your children's school, your spouse's work, your the community center she spends time at, all those important, your doctor's office, a hospital, all those important phone numbers that you might need, write them down. Also, I would suggest you're going to write some down, the important ones, and put them in your children's backpacks. Now, some of you have heard the story. My daughter was on a field trip with her daycare and was lost at it's now Salins, looking at a Bison's game. And that morning, as I did all the time when they were very little, I tucked my number in her pocket and said, if you get lost, you hand this to somebody in a uniform. And she said, Mom, they're playing baseball. She was 4 years old. They're playing baseball. They can't take my number. And I said, not that uniform. So we talk about who to go to. But, my friend said, we didn't know you did that. And I said, I always have done that. So just make sure. And when they were really little, they had tags on their shoes. Okay. Phone numbers are important. Additional supplies, glasses or contacts, medicine. We just talked about that. Formula diapers, change of clothes, seasonally dependent, toiletries, disposable plates, cups, utensils in case you can't do dishes or anything like that. Tools to turn off your home utilities. Everyone should know how to turn off their gas. If it's an emergency like we had in December and you smell gas in your house, right? We didn't have power. You may need to turn off your utilities until it was safe for somebody to come look and figure out where the leak was, okay? So know where to turn off your water, where to turn off your gas. Let somebody licensed to turn them back on, turn them back on. But in an emergency, we may need to turn them off. And Michael is probably laughing because on the clean sweep, I'm the person who always says, I smell gas. And then we have to make some calls. But anyway, books, games, pet supplies. You have to remember your pets. Now, in a vehicle, you should have a separate kit. And we should all have this, especially in the winter in Buffalo, right? We know that people every storm are stuck on our roadways. I had this conversation with my daughter this morning. I drove her to school and I said, okay, get your coat. And she said, I don't need a coat because she's 13. And I said, yes, you do. What if we get, stuck in a ditch and we have to wait? Or what if we have to get out of the car? Put on a coat, right? So we had that little disagreement this morning, and happy to report she wore a coat. Otherwise, she'd be taking the bus. I don't know. You're going to have water. Now, if things freeze in our cars, a small collapsible cooler will help. But even if it's frozen, it's better than nothing. Non-perishable food, those granola bars, blankets, lots of them, or the survival wraps. Extra clothing. You want hats and gloves in your car in case something happens. A shovel to dig out your tailpipe. You have to remember that if you're turning your car on and snow is still piling up, you're going to need a shovel to dig out your tailpipe.
Dana, I had a quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a quick question. When you mentioned clothing, and then the other slide, one thing that I learned, because sometimes the situation may be so desired, so it may be really bad, right? And so you may have a situation where some people may have to come and get you. You may have a knock at the door. You may have some rescue providers saying, hey, you need to leave now. So what I've told people is you always have a bag to go, right?
Absolutely.
When somebody's knocking on your door and it's the National Guard, it's not like, hey, I got to go get something. They're telling you that you have to leave now.
Absolutely.
Right? So sometimes, even if it's just I call it a bag to go, right? Even
Mhm.
if it's just little stuff in there, the same way that you will put away food and not mix it with the regular food, so that, if you're shopping like me, you eat everything and then you go in the cupboard, it's like, I got nothing left, right?
Mhm.
You put, I think it's a good idea to put them differently, but just to have a little bag to go,
Yeah,
because when it's time to go, right? Maybe they smelling gas like you, you got the super nose, right? It's time to go. So I say that because the best time to prepare for an event or an emergency event is not when the event is happening, right?
absolutely.
It is to think about it and envision it ahead of time, especially even sheltering in place, right?
Mhm.
When you're starting to have to do it at that point in time, you're scrambling all over the place, and that brings a little bit of anxiety. Thank you. I just wanted to say that.
A lot of the things that we're telling people that they should assemble into a supply kit, all of us have in our house, or we have most of them, right? But do you really want to waste even 10 minutes looking for them? As Oz said, when somebody's knocking on the door, have them all in one place so you don't have to worry about it, so you can grab it and go. Um, so extra clothing, shovel, flashlight with extra batteries. I put lower down a light stick, right? They don't burn out as quick. If you need to get somebody's attention, you are stuck in a vehicle, snapping on a glow stick from the dollar store, even they come in packages, so you can attach it to your antenna, so somebody knows somebody is there. Okay. Um, Portable chargers. This is in our emergency kit as well. In my home, we have portable chargers. Ahead of anything, we make sure that they're charged. We always make sure they're charged. But sometimes our kids steal them to take to their rooms or whatever. We make sure that ahead of any weather event, we pull them all back and we have them plugged in and ready to go. Um, Booster cables, road flares, maps of the area, please. Cell phones are great and we can pull up our maps, but in a catastrophic storm, right? You're not going to hit a signal and you're going to waste your battery, precious battery, looking for where to go. So have maps of the area, so you don't have to rely on that cell phone to tell you where to go if you can even get a signal. Okay. Tow rope, sand or kitty litter, spare tire, and make sure your tank is full. Now that's hard with gas prices, but certainly at least half a tank of gas, at least when you're driving. Okay. So you make sure that you are ready. We're going to talk about cars in a few minutes. Okay. If you're stranded in a vehicle, contact your emergency services, right? 911, give location. You're going to contact a family friend, give location. Then you're going to leave your phone. Okay. We're not surfing the web because we're bored, because we need that battery life. It is recommended that you start your car 10 minutes every hour for heat. That means 50 minutes with off, which is why we need our blankets and our extra clothing in our car. Clear your snow from exhaust pipe. Be visible to rescuers, so tie bright cloth or one of those light sticks. You can even use those light sticks to spell out help, right? On the front of your car, or if you're stuck somewhere, you can stamp it out. If you have boots on, stamp it out so somebody sees it. But you can do stuff like that to draw attention to yourself. Now, there was a lot of talk about this, whether you stay in your car or you try to leave. Now, do not allow yourself to get trapped in a car. You've got to clear those doors. Snow plows can easily block you in with snow, and not knowingly, right? They don't know. They just see a car, they're clearing the roads. You want to make sure that you have access out of that car. Now, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you want to stay with the vehicle, okay? You don't see anyone around you. It's a blinding snowstorm. It's not ideal to leave, okay? So you're going to stay with the car. If you are stuck in a neighborhood and you see houses, you're going to wait till a break in the weather, because you can become disoriented, right? And sometimes it looks a little closer than it actually is. But if you get a break in the weather and you've been stuck in your car, it's safer to go into a house, okay? And ask for help. Layer up, gloves, mittens, hats. Did I just, yep. Okay, use hand and feet warmers. So ahead of the winter, I buy those hot hands too. we keep some in our cars, and we pack them in backpacks and things like that. I see that I screwed that slide up, so we're going to come back to that one in a minute. Oh yeah, look at I'm missing a slide. Okay, here, we're going to go to this one. Sorry about that. I was rearranging stuff today and rearranged it in a way I did not want. I moved one of my slides. Okay, staying warm in your home. Generators. Okay, that's a great idea. I can't afford a generator. I don't have one in my home. But if you can afford a generator, there's a couple kinds. One that is hooked up to your house all the time, or one that you can bring out and hook up when needed. Doesn't matter what kind, they need to be used outdoors, at least 20 feet from your windows, doors, attached garages, and porches. Do not put it on a porch. Don't leave it in the garage. Chain it to something at least 20 feet from your home. Carbon monoxide detectors must be in use in the home. That's the risk. When you bring a generator in near your home, that output of gases could be problematic. That's why we want it far away. Okay, keep the generator dry and protected from rain or flooding, and use heavy-duty extension cords that can handle appliances. Follow your manufacturer instructions for your generator. Now, I apologize. I'm going to flip back to the next slide. Okay, when you're in your house, layer up gloves, mittens, hats, wool socks. Oh, okay, we're going to go with this, but I have more tips, I'm sure, after the generator slide. Use hand and feet warmers, have a functional fireplace, have wood ready, make sure the fireplace damper is open, blankets and indoor sleeping bags. You're going to sleep close together. Now, I talk about this in a slide I'm sure we're going to see. If you have a tent, you can put up a tent. Everybody goes in the tent, even your animals. That will generate heat, okay? If you don't have a tent, a table, a kitchen table draped with blankets, okay? You're trapping the body heat in underneath, okay? So you're all in the tent that you've made. When the storm started, we know, I have a house with a bunch of rooms with vaulted ceilings, which seemed like a great idea at the time. It is not a great idea for something like this. So the best room that we have in our house that we could all safely go into, my son's room is pretty small, we couldn't all fit in there, is my daughter's room. And so it is not it doesn't take direct wind. She has very heavy drapes, and we would all stay in there. And we had talked about that prior to the storm. Okay, that's the room that we would need to shelter in. Indoor safe propane radiant heaters with safety features could be purchased. They're about $100. I, again, do not have one of those, right? You have to follow manufacturer directions, and some of them, they'll shut off if they're tipped, if it detects low oxygen levels. Have grid cages so children can't touch it, but children should not get near it either. And candles burned in a casserole dish or baking dish, something metal or glass, so the candle, if it tips over, never leave them unattended. Now, other considerations: allow a small drip for faucets to avoid pipes freezing, a tiny drip just to get that water flowing so it doesn't freeze up, okay? Check smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are in working order. Both are mandated New York State law and super important to have, even if it wasn't mandated. Okay, always have fresh batteries. Now, some of our detectors are hardwired into our home. And they should have battery backups, okay, in case the power goes out, okay? Check those. Those are critical life-saving devices, or, we need those in our homes, okay? If you rent your apartment or home, your landlord is responsible. Not all our landlords are on the up and up. I would not wait for them to get you one. Just get one, okay?
And Dana, we should have smoke detectors on each level.
Yes.
If you have.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes in some critical rooms,
yes.
especially carbon monoxide.
Yes.
I love the idea when you said, because I'm thinking about, just kind of recollecting when I didn't have power or heat, um, people make the mistake and they go into every room. You're saying go in one room,
One room.
stay in that room right there.
Yes.
Make sure it's I put blankets over my windows,
Yes.
right? And I didn't leave that room. It was cold, but it was been colder if I kept on opening up the door, moving all throughout that, and you gave me an idea, you said a tent, and I didn't understand what you meant, but if you're all in that tent, you're
Yes.
kind of double layered, right? So you
Yes.
got the room, now you got the tent. You're saying if you don't have the tent, get a table, right?
Right.
And that,
Basically trapping in the body heat. And we're going to cover it because I have a slide out of place. We're going to cover it in a few minutes, but absolutely. If those options of the tent or the table don't work for you, you're going to find a small room. It could be a bathroom, right? So you may need access to the bathroom, right? And my daughter's room happens to be across from one of our bathrooms, right? But we're not going to all hang out in different rooms. We're all going to be condensed into one room. And this is how important I think it is. We considered going to a 13-year-old's bedroom, right? Have you seen a 13-year-old bedrooms? But that was our best choice for the way our house is made up. So everyone's going to have to look at their living space and decide what that is for them. Okay. So allow drips. Make sure smoke detectors, carbon monoxide. Utilize warming shelters or stay in the place you are, even if inconvenient. Now, this storm came at a really bad timing for people sort of, directions, because it was Christmas and people want to be with their family and people still have to get gifts and have to get this stuff for dinner. But the truth is that, and I think that led to some of our issues. I mean, I wasn't able to go to see my family, and that was a really difficult decision for me. And believe me, it went in my head like, my dad was very sick at the time, and I thought this may be it, like, which is horrible, our last Christmas. And I had to rationalize, this is for the safety of my family and first responders. We stayed home. It's a hard decision, but it's one that we have to make. And then don't be opposed to going to a warming shelter if you need to. Pre-plan that. If you have elderly family members and we know that we're having a storm in a couple of days, bring them to you in advance of the storm. Okay. Don't wait to make those decisions. We can say, oh, it turned out it wasn't that big of a storm. That's okay. That's okay. Right. But bring people to you or go to them, and that's where you're going to shelter for the storm. Okay. If you do have heat, you're going to make sure your vents are cleared from snow. So Nicole and I were talking about this earlier, especially new builds. Your venting a system for your heater, right, would be on the outside of your home. You have to make sure, for carbon monoxide reasons, that those vents are clear. So today we have a lot of snow, but you're going to go and make sure, do you know where your vent is? Do you know how to clear it? Some of them in older homes are a little higher up. Newer homes, they try to bring them a little bit lower. You're going to make sure that those vents are clear. Okay. Make a plan in advance what you're going to do in an emergency. Be prepared to assess the situation, use common sense, and do whatever you can to take care of you, your family, friends, and neighbors. How much time? Oh, I'm so far ahead. So maybe I will. So we talked about generators, other options. If you're going to stay warm in the house, better insulate your attic or crawl spaces, close all windows properly, including storm windows. This is what Oz and I was just talking about. Keep windows and doors airtight, plastic sheeting, use window chalk or stuffed towels at noticeable leaks. Put up heavier curtains and close them. Choose a small room, close off unused rooms. And we talked about the tent, okay? So if you have functionalities or someone you know, and they require life-dependent equipment, talk to your healthcare provider. Do you have battery backup? What can you do if those things are not available? We don't have power, you can't plug in. What's the plan? Okay, you have to think of the plan. If you are having trouble thinking of the plan, talk to your healthcare provider or whoever issued that equipment. What are you going to do? Okay, and you may want to invest in a generator so you can keep that equipment running. Let someone know well ahead of the problem or a potential winter storm that you need help. Talk to your neighbors, right? They are your first responders and things like this because they can get to you. Okay. Out of town contact, make sure everybody knows out of town. So if power, you can't get a hold of somebody because they've gone to a warming shelter, their cell phone died, whatever it is, you have somebody that you can relay information through. So winter weather, we know, don't assume that you're good shoveling your driveway in your shorts and not wearing gloves. Frostbite causes loss of feeling and color around the face, fingers, and toes. Go inside, soak in warm water, use body heat to a warm affected area, but do not rub. And hypothermia. It's below 95 is an absolute emergency. It's unusually low body temperature, which can be detected by shivering, exhaustion, drowsiness, confusion, fumbling, memory loss, slurred speech. Okay. Remember to review your plan, check your food, check your phone numbers, practice your fire drills. It is critically important that your children go to school and they practice fire drills, but they spend more time at home, or grandparents with their grandchildren who spend time in their home. Everybody should be running fire drills. It is super, super important. And then you can build a disaster supply kit for any disaster, but all disasters are different. So learn about what can happen here or places that you spend time, you travel to. Ready.gov for more information. A community working together makes sense. I'm sure the Board of Block Clubs would totally agree with this. Talk to your neighbors and find out who has specialized equipment and skills. Identify individuals that can check on neighbors and make backup plans for children who can't be home. I'm sorry I sped through that. There is my information. I'm happy to talk to anyone or bring, brochures or do presentations. I don't care if you have 3 people that want a presentation, call me, and that's fine. We'll work it out.
Well,
Okay.
Dana, thank you. Thank you very much. Listen, this is important, and we wanted to give you as much time as we could. Although you did make it, 1 minute sparing, 2 minutes sparing. But the good thing about this is that we're taking you on the road. We're partnering with the Board of Block Clubs and other organizations where we're going to be going out into community centers, and we're going to be reaching out to block clubs and organizations. And so I know we're doing something at the Science Museum, at one of the block club meetings. I know we're going to be going on the west side, we're going to the south, we're going everywhere. And then we've also reached out to, there is a professor at ECC, right? There's a professor at ECC who teaches about disaster preparedness. And so we're going to have that too. So some of the things you mentioned about these kits, listen, Debbie and I have been kind of talking about this, ways that we can, because there's planning, but then there's people that may not have the means to. And so we want to make sure that maybe we can get some supplies and kind of create these kits for them, and then activate the block clubs or the block club captains on that street, kind of like how we did the Good Neighbors Network. We had the card, and if it was turned a different way, like, uh-oh, that person's has a challenge. And then because you are familiar with that person in that community, you have a trusted individual who can check on you. And listen, I'm not going to say block club folks are nosy, but sometimes it's all right to be nosy in your community and know what's going on. When I say nosy, I'm just talking about somebody was happening in that neighbor, next door to you. Hey, something's not right. That's a good thing because you have a relationship with them. And I think what I've heard from you is that, and I know some people have to go, it's about a plan. It's about planning in many different ways. And it's about how do we make that plan become habit, right? And I think there's different ways that my office is going to start doing. Maybe we put together kind of for some kids, a coloring book or some kind of book or something like that, where we can kind of remind them, do the basics. So if we can have them kind of visualize what that looks like, then they can say, hey, I may not afford that. Hey, I need something else. Hey, I can't do that, right? And so those are the different things, I think we have to set the stage and then see how can we fill in the gap, right? But idea of this pre-planning, listen, we plan when we want to have Thanksgiving, we plan when we want to have holidays, right? We do all of this when somebody's birthday party, right? So why don't we kind of think about planning now? And I think those are some of the themes. So listen, we're going to push your information out. I know you have a training coming up soon. I think we're working with Just Breathe Block Club over in the Martin Luther King area over there. And I think that's going to be at East High School.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so that's coming up, and we're going to do a series of them too. And then we're going to invite some folks to come out and be able to help and table and do all of those different things. And so thank you very much. I do appreciate you, Dana.
Nice job, Dana.
Okay, good. Listen, I'm turning this over to you, Debbie.
Okay.
You know, so listen, I'm blaming it on you. If we're,
Don't blame it on me. It's Dana's fault, but it's all good information, so it's definitely worth it. And I'm not going to take up much of anybody's time. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see you all today. Dana, great job as always. Just really quick update. Like Oz was saying, February 4th at East High School, there will be a present, right, Dana? It's February 4th? February. Wait, I can't hear you. February 7th? Oh, okay. It's February 7th. More information will come out. It's going to be at East High School. We are going to have a big presentation with Division of Citizen Services on March 23rd at the Science Museum. That will be rolling out very shortly. And like Oz says, we're trying to come up with some ideas to have at the meetings so that we can try and help wherever we can. One thing I want to say first and foremost is first of all, like I said, we had a meeting last night and we have a new board, and I want to take the moment to thank our previous board members for all of their hard work and dedication that they've provided to the Board of Block Clubs over the last 3 years. And I'm not sure if they are on the call, but we do have some new board members, and I'm just going to quickly do a introduction so that you know the names. The first vice president is Dr. Cortasia Solomon Carter. Second vice president is Myra Robinson Moses. Our new secretary is Linda Gelman. Sergeant at Arms is Anita Edgerton. And our new board members are Chris Sikora, Charles Calvin, and Conrad Hanowin. So I wish them all the best of luck. We are going to do great things, and they're new to the board. So looking forward to that. And again, we had a great meeting last night, and we're going to continue February, let me give you the date, 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Westminster Charter School will be our next meeting. And it'll start at 6 p.m. and we'll have a couple of speakers there. But we definitely are pushing towards our disaster preparedness with Dana on March 23rd. So keep those 2 dates in your mind and in the back of your head and on your calendars. And if you have or need any information, it's bobcbuffalo@gmail.com. It is in the chat, and we do respond within 24 hours. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. And other than that, thank you for having us on here. I'm looking forward to a wonderful 2023. Great things are going to be happening. And I also have to thank Oswaldo and his team at Division Citizen Services for all of your help to the Board of Block Clubs. You really provide a lot of information when we need it, especially when we need it like now. So thank you for that. And it is 1:05. I'm done for right now, and I'm giving it back to you, Oz.
Okay, as we leave, I just want to let you know that we are doing a crime prevention through environmental design. Ron Dixon is on here. We're working with Buffalo Police and the CPOs. We're doing it in each district all throughout the city. This is a very special training that we're doing with community members, with law enforcement. We're also inviting schools. We're inviting a whole bunch of folks here. The great thing about what this training is here is that you will then be eligible to receive a mini grant to work on a particular project. Maybe it is a mural, maybe it is lighting, maybe it's whatever, but it has to be through SEPTEP design principles. As you can see, we're in different areas: William Emsley YMCA, the Bell Center, Jericho Road, the McNicholas Center, and the Martha Mitchell Center here. You want more information, you get your phone out. You can do the QR code, or you can call, or you can email Mr. Ron Dixon. You can go to the city's webpage, and here, these are all of the partnering organizations here too. So a lot of information here. I just wanted to, we'll put that into the chat, and we'll send this out to everybody else too. So listen, my staff has made sure that we took all of the notes here. I see that we have some partnerships here. I thought I just saw the last partnership, and if you want to partner, let us know, put it in the chat. What I have learned here is about communication, but it's also about having that authentic communication, making sure that we communicate. When there are challenges, there are no egos. It's about helping. We were able to help folks in the community, different communities. They used our information, 311 information, to help pinpoint people who needed food, and we passed that information on to, too. So it's just real important that we work together. Okay. And so I see Michelle Martin. She said she wanted to partner. I got you. I saw 211 on there too. And Toddy Rogers. I see you, Toddy. And Rita from 211. I like to be a part of the community outreach. Rita, I think we're going to have you come in and do one of these too. So we want to hear more, from our friends over at 211 and the things that they do. Listen, thank you. 7 minutes. I'll find a way to get that back to you throughout the year. I see my good friend Seamus there. They do a lot of interesting things with that organization. I just want to know, when things kind of subside, are we bike riding, soon? I know you do the snow roll. Are we out? Oh, see, listen, he rides year round. Okay. Listen, guys, thank you very much. And we'll talk to you a little bit later. Have
Bye,
a
everybody.
great,
Have a
great
wonderful day.
weekend.
Thanks
All
for
right.
last night, Oswaldo.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Yeah.
day.
You're
Thank you.
great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Yeah,
everyone.
guys, have a good day.
Awesome
Be
job,
safe.
Dana.
Yes. Very
Yes,
nice
awesome
Dana.
job, Dan.
Be safe, guys.
Ciao, ciao.